I hope you enjoyed that meditation. While we were meditating, I had the experience to stop at 15 minutes, and when I got up to pause the video, I realized that I did not press video. So this happens. So here we go again. I'm going to read a story. It's a Thich Nhat Hanh story from the book Son of My Heart. There's such a beautiful picture of Thich Nhat Hanh. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I'm holding it up. Yeah. Today, 3 children, 2 girls and a little boy, came from the village to play with Twai. The 4 of them ran off to play on the hillside behind our house and were gone about an hour when they returned to ask for something to drink. I took the last bottle of homemade apple juice and gave them each a full glass, serving Twa last. Since her juice was from the bottom of the bottle, it had some pulp in it. When she noticed the particles, she pouted and refused to drink it. So the 4 children went back to their games on the hillside, and Twa had not drunk anything. Half an hour later, while I was meditating in my room, I heard her calling. Twa wanted to get herself a glass of cold water, but even on her tiptoes, she couldn't reach the faucet. I reminded her of the glass of juice on the table and asked her to drink that first. Turning to look at it, she saw that the pulp had settled and the juice looked clear and delicious. She went to the table and took the glass with both hands, and after drinking half of it, she put it down and asked, "Is this a different glass, Uncle Monk?" "No," I answered, "it's the same one as before. It sat quietly for a bit and now it's clear and delicious." Twa looked at the glass again. "It really is good." "Uncle Monk, was it meditating like you?" I laughed and patted her head. "Let's say that I imitated the apple juice when I sit. That is closer to the truth." This book is filled with stories. You'll probably hear many more. We have a mind sometimes, and it gets all churned up. And we do pout, or we do sort of get tight and hold ourselves closely. And if we learn to just sit, or even just to take a deep breath, or even to take 3 deep breaths, our mind will settle. The churned upness can settle. And it's so amazing to realize, or to even think, it's almost like a juxtaposition because we are almost like surprised by it, but the stillness and the clarity always exist. It's always there. That stillness, that clarity is within each of us, and we can touch it, we can hang out with it, we can sort of foster it to be our appearance of mind. And as I am on this retreat, that awareness becomes stronger and stronger. It's always there. Whether I go there is another question. We start by understanding that change is inevitable. Last week we read the 5 remembrances. Change is inevitable. Everything is always changing, including our mind. So when I take a moment and I actually relax in my tightness by taking a deep breath, pausing, whatever you want to do, I have access to that stillness. In our last class, we left off with, or were encouraged by, I hope, to take responsibility for our actions. Why? Why would we want to take responsibility? Because we understand that our actions matter. we begin to embrace interconnectedness. What I say, what I do, how I think matters. What I do, say, and think matters. In this class, we're going to talk about 5 things. The first one is collective karma. The second one is appearance of fear in our mind as a result. The third is how to develop our inner resources, what's inside and how to cultivate it. Choice is the fourth, and the fifth one is how to live in that interconnectedness. Collective karma has been part of our topic of karma in classes that we have engaged in. Usually when I get to the topic or the series end, collective karma comes up. And as we begin to think of collective karma, people get overwhelmed. And it is overwhelming. There's a myriad of causes and conditions happening all around us globally that when put in the global bucket will lead to a myriad of experiences. And there's oftentimes a feeling of, oh, yikes. So this collective karma appears in couples, it appears in families, it appears in any group, it appears locally in Madison, it appears in our state, in our nation, in our global universe, in the network of all of our actions. It's overwhelming. It is overwhelming. But collective consciousness, the causes and conditions that we have as individuals, we need to notice there's a cumulative effect, a cumulative cause and effect, cause and conditions, a cumulative effect, an experience. A good example is when you're on retreat. There's a group experience, let's say a weekend retreat or a week-long retreat, a month-long retreat, whatever the retreat is. When on retreat, you have a retreat parameter. So there's silence, there is kindness, there's consideration of others. And these actions of loving kindness, compassion, wisdom, love, all of that, those actions are felt as a group. It's amplified as a group. And it's cumulative over the time of the retreat. And it becomes a heartfelt energy that is much greater than one individual. There's a group energy as well. And when the end of the retreat comes and the outside experience sort of dissolves into emptiness, the experience, the energy that the group takes out also over time will dissolve back into the store consciousness of your mind unless that group energy is continually fed. We've had that experience. We go home and bam, we're back in our normal kind of mess of things. So it's interesting, I think, to remember these different appearances. And there's also the opposite. When a group gathers and decides judgment or punitive action toward, let's say, the facilitator of the group, you were wrong, you were bad, and the whole group takes up this attitude and it holds this punitive attitude, it holds this condemning attitude, and it takes actions of not coming around, not going to class, not caring for the group. So the group dissolves. And the group itself, and maybe the facilitator, they continue to exist. They might not continue to exist as a group, but the group and the facilitator continue to exist. If the group itself continues and feeds that condemned, punitive, sort of negative attitude, the experience will be one of letdown, one of isolation, one of closed off, one of loneliness. The facilitator could dwell in the negativity, but let's say the facilitator instead takes the collective karma, the result of that breaking away, and uses it for a very positive result. And the result is it creates a stronger confidence in herself, a deep compassion in herself, as she continues to work for the benefit of others in our actions, in teaching, in self-care. Now the facilitator knows about collective karma. She understands collective karma and knows how to steer the result of the collective karma towards greater benefit for others. The benefit for both self and others. Globally, we see that same result. And if a group of people maintain that warring, sort of isolated, injustice sort of feeling, it will create more separation. But if we feed instead patience, love, kindness, compassion, that creates drops in the bucket globally of patience, love, that deeper connection of compassion. The investment for balancing, the investment for understanding. So we started this class with the intention to create greater understanding on our path. I'm going to pause the video here because it's 15 minutes and then move on to the second of our topics.